Ooh.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies. Welcome to another rendition of the greatest show on earth. That is the Sports Senseis. And we are back. We are so sorry we missed you last week. That's partially my fault because I overslept. I do apologize. But I am back this week and I am ready and eager to get into these sports topics. But before we do all of that, without further ado, Jay Nicole, how are you?
Woo woo! I'm here, straight, fresh from work, right, ready to go. Let's get it.
Fresh from work. We love to see it. That is the hard work and dedication that we try to provide you here at Sports Senseis. As we are fresh, we get fresh off of work, or whatever, however it has to happen, we make it happen, okay? That's all you need to know.
You make it happen.
All right. Well, without further ado, we are in the midst of our NBA playoff run, so we are talking about all things NBA playoffs right now. Currently, and the playoffs are on fire as they normally are. The NBA as we get into the latter rounds, it gets more interesting, more stories come out, more compelling, more exciting, all of those things. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers series as well, because they are currently facing the Miami Heat. Now, we all know that Miami went up 2-0 when they were in Miami. And then Philly came back home, and Philly also didn't have Joel for those first two games. But Philly came back home. They got Joel back. They seemingly, I guess, got James Harden back for one game. I don't really know. I'm sure we'll get into that. But should Miami be concerned, being that Kyle Lowry hasn't really played and he hasn't played well? And then supposedly, I think, if I read correctly earlier, he might be out for the rest of the series. So is Miami in trouble? Are they in jeopardy of blowing a 2-0 lead and losing to the Sixers? What do you think?
This is scary now. I mean, I am a Miami fan. I am a Jimmy Buckets fan. He was in Chicago. I think so. I don't know if the mask. Embiid came back with the mask and is giving him some flavor. When Kobe had to wear that mask, right? I think Miami should definitely be worried here, right? Like I was like, oh, we about to run away with the 1 seed. Okay, cool. Sixers always get through the first round, right? That's okay, cool. But they're not gonna be a match. Granted, even though Embiid's playing lights out, I just felt like as a team, as a collective, Miami just had it, and now we are sitting here 2-2 let's just get into it now with the James Harden showing up in Game 4 right now. We just said
about time.
About time. James Harden, what are we doing? You gotta
we've been waiting. We've been waiting a little bit. We've been waiting, but it's okay. It's okay. Better late than never.
But will you say, I don't know, the collapse that is James Harden, will he show up in Game 5? Will he? Right?
And that's what's yet to be seen. That's what I want to see, because in that I feel like Philly was gonna tie it, being that they had Joel Embiid back, because at the end of the day, Miami doesn't have an answer for Joel Embiid. They're not big enough. They don't have anybody big enough or physical enough that could sustain Joel Embiid for 48 minutes. So I knew that Philly could at least, knot it up. Now, what is yet to be seen, and what I'm looking forward to, is that Game 5 pressure at Miami, where Philly could really take a hold of this series, send it back to Philly for Game 6, and close it out. I want to see the James Harden in Game 4, in Game 5, and in Game 6. That's what I want to see, because as great as he is, he hasn't been the greatest in those moments. And so if he can show me that, then I will be willing to say that he's turned the corner, and that this is a different guy. But I do think I will say this before I pass it back to you, because I do think that the criticism of James Harden this year so far has kind of been unfair, just for the simple fact that I think we're such prisoners of the moment when we watch sports. Like, people don't really give things time to progress. And it's like, you got to understand that he went to a new team in the middle. He did go to a new team in the middle of the season. He played, he's playing a little bit of a different role with this team opposed to what the role that he was playing in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So it's like there was a lot of adjustments that needed to be made, I feel like, on all parties. But like I said, I'm interested to see if James Harden can do it in Game 5 and Game 6. That'll impress me.
Sensei, were you amongst one of the biggest James Harden haters? Can I get a yes on that? Was that you?
So pause for a second. I'm not a James Harden hater. I want to make that known. I just said, in comparison to Kyrie Irving, I think that Kyrie Irving is the better entity than James Harden.
Who's still in the playoffs?
Okay, so I might have been wrong about this year, but we'll see. We'll see next year. Okay.
Let's go.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge you right now. I can't. I mean, your brain's just too nice. I can't really. I love you. I can't. The brain just doing it for me today. But okay. So don't be wrong. And I've been, although yes, I said he was in his prime, that he was better than Kyrie, but in these last 3 years, we have seen a slump. He has not been, and although he didn't get it done in the playoffs, and that's the big argument, he'd be great regular season, MVP, whatever, he still suffered in the playoffs. We haven't seen James Harden be James Harden since he was in Houston before that debacle when he wanted to leave and he didn't take care of himself, right? So to see signs of true life, like, okay, this is what you do. You know that you're the second man up on this team. We know this is Joel Embiid's team. You kind of ring chasing, jumping, whatever, but okay, it looks like the chemistry is there. There's a match. You ain't fighting with nobody, like you actually play your position, play your role, be number 2, and do your thing. And if they continue to do this, because as you said, you're right, the small team of Miami Heat does not have an answer for Joel Embiid. And then you put Harden, you get Harden going, and you looking around like, what's up? Now, a big thing that happened is they came, 76ers came alive from the 3-point line. And so they have really fallen down. So you're seeing the home team step up from the 3-point line, and that's what had been what Miami was doing and how they were lining. They went these last 2 games in Philly, they went 22% shooting from the 3. Like that's really, it's like that's their game, that's their ball, that's what they've been playing. So for them to lose that, hopefully they come back home, they regain their energy, and I can see this going to 7. I can see
that too, honestly. I was just saying hypothetically as far as the game 60, but I could definitely see it going 7 as well. But I think it remains to be seen because if Philly can get Joel Embiid, Harden, and Tyrese Maxey to all be on the same page at the same time and really get that chemistry flowing, then I think they're a better team than Miami. I think that they can definitely beat Miami in 6, but it's like I said, it just remains to be seen. Like what kind of production are we going to get from James Harden in this game, in this critical game 5? Because these are the moments where we want to see James Harden beat James Harden. It's easier for you to do it in games 1 through 4 because especially if the series is knotted, it's like the pressure it don't really get to the thick of things until it gets to like those deciding factor games, and that's the game 5s, that's the game 6s. So if he can show in those moments, then that's gonna be the separation. You know what I'm saying? He played excellent the other night. Like he looked like the James Harden of old. He looked like he was able to get separation. He looked like the step back was working for him, which is a major part of his game. And he just looked more confident. He didn't look timid. He didn't look like he was shying away from the moment. He just looked like, okay. He reminded himself, I'm James Harden. I need to be aggressive. And he went out there and he was aggressive. And that's what we want to see from James Harden. Like, and we know he's capable of doing it. But like I said, do it in the moments where we expect you to, where you're supposed to be that guy. Because like I said, I'm not saying he's not a terrible player, but it's just I need to see it when it matters. All the great players that I'm a fan of, I've seen it at some point when it matters. So that's kind of the thing. But yeah, I think Miami could be in some serious trouble, especially if Kyle Lowry is going to be out for the remaining of the series. I think that's going to have a bigger effect than a lot of people realize. For that Miami, because he does a lot of things well for them.
He does, but seeing him be like gimpy and not really, I'm watching him like really, like I'm like, okay, he ain't himself, he's not whatever. So no, definitely a big loss for them. I just in my head, Jimmy Buckets, I feel like he can wield the team. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just I'm like,
he definitely is capable. He's definitely capable.
Yeah, I feel like he can wield the team. And I'm watching this man. I'm like watching the game, and you're really seeing him go back and forth, right? It was at the end, right? Fourth quarter, you know, the 76ers pull away. But like, I'm just watching Jimmy, like, boom, this, that, underscoop, hit, fight, like just everything.
Yeah.
But somebody else definitely has to step up. I mean, can we get Tyler Hero hitting them threes again? Like, again, you going back home. You were good at the 3-point line from home. When you were at home, can you take this game 5, go back home, hit them threes, and get back in it, and just really see a consistency? Because Jimmy's doing what he's supposed to do, but you got to get other people to buy in and be consistent. So,
sure.
I don't know. I want Miami to win. Miami was my pick. My pick. No, I had no problems. I was like Miami. But I am worried. I am worried. But I do like what I'm seeing from Harden. I do. I want to. Yeah. The MVP. You know, he got an MVP. Like, he is that guy. I mean, he still has it in him.
Definitely.
In the big moments, can he do it? We shall see.
We definitely shall see. Mike actually asked a really good question. He said, "Where is?" He didn't say where he is. He definitely said a more vulgar word, but we're going to keep it PG. He said, "Where is Duncan Robinson?" Which is a really good question considering the fact that they are paying that man $90 million.
Yes.
So I'm real interested to why $90 million is sitting on the bench and he's not healthy. And he's healthy.
I was watching Undisputed, and something about him being on Coach Spoelstra's S list. I won't say the word, but S list right now. And this is why he's not playing. But I don't know the true details of that. Have you heard anything? No.
I haven't heard anything. There hasn't been really any reports. I think on First Take they talked about how maybe he's like a defensive liability. So they don't, which I could honestly say, he's a great shooter, but he definitely is not a good defender. And it's like the Philly has a lot of different players that can score in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And so he would be a matchup that they would pick on basically. So I could understand that, but I mean, still, like,
that's a lot of money on the bench.
That part, and I feel like schematically, there's still a way that Eric Spoelstra could work him into the lineup. Even because I mean, like, even when I played, like, we used to, like, if there was a certain players who were better at defense, and then certain players that were better at offense. Yeah. When it was a tight game, it'd be offense to defense. So like, what I'm saying, like, whoever fits the mold for that particular time. So I feel like that's something that Eric Spoelstra could do as well. Yeah. So the fact that it's not being done, there has to be something more to it, and maybe it just hasn't gotten out yet. But that just, I don't know. That's just kind of something that's very strange to me. Because, like you said, that's a lot of money to be sitting on the bench.
It's a lot of money sitting on the bench right there. I was like, wait, he on his? It looks like, what happened?
Because I mean, Eric Spoelstra don't really put people on his hit list like that. So I don't know, but I guess we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see what.
And let me just, for the 76ers, let me shout out Danny Green. Okay, I'm not a Danny Green fan because in the 2020.
I'm not gonna applaud the fish for swimming.
You missed a wide open 3-point. We paying you $15 million a year, okay? So I'm not a big fan of him. Mr. Hit, but he is showing up and showing out, hitting some 3-pointers.
Finally, about time.
I mean, you know, about time.
Listen, when he was with the Lakers, I had a love-hate relationship with that man. There was so many times where I was like, if we could just trade him for a bag of Lay's, I would be okay with that. But then the next game, he would come back and hit like 5 threes, and I'm like, maybe he could stay. It's too much, Danny. It's too much, Danny. But I'm glad that it's just too much. But I mean, he has been playing a lot better these past couple games for them. So salute to him for that. But moving on, so we have to talk about the other series, of course. The Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. They are not at 2-2 at the particular moment, but they are headed back to Phoenix tomorrow to play in Phoenix for Game 5. So are the Suns going to close it out at home, or is Dallas going to push this to 7?
This is the thing, right? You can see it when Chris Paul does not play good, right? They don't win. Clearly we know all the hoopla with the family stuff and all of that going on, but like, I need Chris Paul to be Chris Paul. I mean, he is absolutely amazing. Did he just turn? He's about to turn 37, right? Still doing what he does. Like when he just takes over he's the true leader of the team. When he takes over the game and plays his game and makes the other teams play Phoenix Suns basketball, Chris Paul basketball, right? They're unstoppable. But you didn't let Luka Doncic, right? You didn't let this man creep back in here. And it's like I'm making sure because you be hearing seeing these tweets and seeing stuff. Quote CP3, Luka Doncic is overrated, right? Did he say the media's been giving him special attention? He's getting washed on defense. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, CP3 might be hating a little bit. You cannot deny that man's talent, and he getting it done. This is a tight series. Being that I'm in Texas, you know what I mean? I love Chris Paul. I love Devin Booker, so I want to push for the Suns. But being in Texas, it's our last Texas team left. So, I mean, an upset wouldn't be, it would be great. Like, come on, Texas, keep going. I don't, if Chris Paul plays Chris Paul basketball, Suns are definitely going to win game 5.
I think so as well. I think I think this particular last game 4 was both the refs did him bogus. Like the fact that he fouled out is utterly ridiculous. There is no excuse for that. The fouls that he was called for were like it was very ticky-tack, and it made it feel like that they were particularly gunning for him that particular game. Just to make it a series. I think Adam Silver made that call and said, hey, let's make things interesting, because a lot of those fouls didn't make a whole lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Devin Booker has to play it better. He has to play more consistent. He hasn't really played that well this series. I know he's trying to work himself back from a hamstring injury in the first series, so I think that may have something to do with it as well. But he has to play better for them, because it can't all just be on Chris Paul. Like, Chris Paul needs some help. The role players are going to have to step up and be the role players that they've been all year, because in those 2 games in Dallas, they were not playing. They did not play particularly well either. But this, unfortunately, being that Chris Paul is the point guard, they are going to go as he goes. So he has to be the one to ignite everybody and rally the troops and say, hey, this is how we're going to get it done. Because I think he knows he's not going to have too many more opportunities at getting that elusive championship that he's been chasing for so long. So I think they ended up closing it out and probably in 6. Well, yeah, it would have to be in 6 anyway. They closed it out in 6. But I think Dallas definitely can make it interesting. There's definitely going to be some really good games. I'm excited to watch the game tonight to see how they play, because Luka has been playing fearless. He's not bothered by anything or anybody. Mm-hmm. He feels like nobody can guard him, and I love that attitude. I love that mentality. So like I said, I think the Suns will end it in 6, because they know that they're gonna have to deal with Golden State. So they don't want to push it to 7, because you're gonna need every ounce of energy to deal with Golden State. So so I think Phoenix gets it done, but like I said, Dallas can definitely make things competitive at least. Yeah. So I want to talk about something really, really quick here. The NBA has been having problems recently with some really disrespectful, unruly fans, and I know we've covered some different fan situations on the Sports Senseis a few times throughout the season as far as with the NBA. But the most recent incident was Chris Paul and his family having some issues with fans who were. We don't really know the full story. First, it was that his mom and his wife were pushed. Then the story came out from the Dallas side that said that the fans were just trying to hug them, and they really didn't have the consent to do that. That they just pretty much kind of ran up on them and try to give them hugs, and that the Paul family weren't really feeling that. So it's kind of a mixed situation. But at the end of the day, a person's personal space was violated. Right. As far as a family of a player, and that player being Chris Paul. Right. So I want to know from you, what do you think the NBA should do about this problem that they continue to have as far as unruly fans saying things disrespectful or doing disrespectful gestures towards the family or towards players' families, their wives, or even to players themselves? Because I know earlier this year we had the situation with the young lady in LeBron who said some things about Bronny, and I mean, there's just been so many different situations. Westbrook has had some run-ins, as well as his wife and his children. So, what do you think the NBA should do? Like how do they fix this problem? Because at the end of the day, like it's been, luckily, knock on wood, nothing has happened so far, but they're gonna get the right player and something's gonna happen. Like it's gonna go, because everybody don't have that same restraint. So what do you think?
So can we, and I guess on everything and being, let me say this, do we, the players' families and stuff like that, can we get them in a restricted area? I mean, I know it's like you can sit within the fans, but like, I don't know, like that should, to even have that be an option, or when you know that somebody's family, like it's too close, we need to figure something else out within those realms, because you never, even to think like your family could be in jeopardy as you're playing the game because these fans are just getting, so something needs to be set up there. I don't know exactly what the answer is for that, but like if it now at this point, like the family sitting amongst the regular fans is just not acceptable, because we don't know what's going to happen. So the NBA definitely, I would start, I mean, I would do something with that, because that's now having this happen and really having this like spotlight. And like you said, it's happening with other people. Like you really need to like, hey, what can we do to be proactive? But these fans need to be, look, we hear one word, boom, you're banned from that stadium, that field, whatever, to me for life. Like you are supposed to be going to a sporting event, enjoying yourself. It's all competitive. You want your team to win. I get it. Right. But the obscenities and like the craziness, like, you know what I mean? Like whatever happened to just being like, he's up for the free throw and you miss and you clap your hands and going, and so, right. Whatever happened just to the regular, like, calling their name and just like, why is cussing people out, wishing bad on their family and stuff like that? Like, people don't have any decency. It's just I'm diehard about my teams too, but it's a game. You know what I mean? What are we doing as human beings that we feel we need to put our hands on people's family? We need to cuss out the players. Like, what is happening right now? But if you want to act like this, you want to throw drinks, water on somebody, whatever, you need to be banned from that stadium for life. You don't get a second chance. You know how to act. You don't have no home training, because this is exactly what this is. You were in somebody else's home, this stadium, right? And you're going to come and act a complete fool. And you feel that's okay. How would you feel if somebody was saying that to your family? How would you know what I mean? It's just, to me, I'm like, the way that this is just escalated. Can we have one sporting event where we not hearing about something crazy like this happening? Like, why fans feel this, I paid for this ticket, whatever, I can just say whatever and do whatever and it's okay? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I think I've been watching a couple of different sports shows and different analysts and things of that nature, and their description of what they think the issue is and what the resolution to the issue should be. And one message in particular stuck out to me, and I replayed it a few times because it really struck home. And that was Joy Taylor. Shout out to Joy Taylor. Mm-hmm. She was on I think the Colin Hurd show either today or yesterday, and she spoke so real, like straight from the heart. Like it wasn't politically, she didn't cuss or anything, but it wasn't like politically correct. It was like, look, at the end of the day, these fans, these people, like at these games or on the internet, ain't been punched in the mouth. Ain't nobody ever, they haven't had hands put on them. But I mean, it's honestly, and I laughed, but I was like, wait, she has a point, because she was like, if you've ever had hands put on you or you've been punched in the mouth, you have a different level of respect for people or a restraint for yourself, because you've been taught, like, how to, like you said, how to act, but you've been shown how to act with action and not words. Mm-hmm. See, it's different when, somebody says something to you, but when they show you better than they could tell you, as my grandmother would say, it's a different ball game at that point. And she was like, the thing of it is, like, she alluded to what you said, you know how to act, but at the same time, it's about respect. Respect somebody the way that you want them to respect you. You don't get to just put your hands on anybody without their permission. You don't get to say whatever you want just because you're a fan. And that's the problem, as well as that the NBA has made these fans feel entitled. it feels like, you know, the fans are so important, and we like, because you know they drive that message home. The fans are so important. We love the fans. We'd be nothing without the fans. No, bring them back down to size. Like at the end of the day, that we are those players are still human. If you cut them open, they bleed just like us. Like they're still human beings. Their families still human beings. They're just in better financial situations than the average American, but they're still people. So you have to treat them as such. Stop trying to treat these people like animals. Like they're just there for your entertainment, and they're just supposed to take anything that you say, because they're not. Because at the end of the day, like Russ even said this: if he was outside, a fan ain't gonna walk up on him and disrespect his wife or his kids or his mom. The same thing with Chris Paul. That fan wouldn't have walked up on his mom and asked him if they were outside the arena. That lady wouldn't have said that something about Bronny to LeBron outside of being, you know what I'm saying, in the arena. It's all like, you would never do that if y'all were face to face. You do that because you know you have the protection of the team and the league and the security and the things of that nature. Shaq even came up with a really good idea. He was like, you know, have some cousins sit who ain't got nothing to lose, sit in the stand and be like, look, watch out for my mom, my wife, and my kids. If something happened, you have my permission to touch them up. Because at the end of the day, like, they're not gonna get it until there's severe consequences. Because I really don't think that they fear getting banned. Like that, I don't think that's something that's really gonna affect them. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, it's the same thing. Words is one thing. Action is a totally another thing. It's just like with a kid. If you tell a kid don't do something, like don't touch the stove because it's hot, they don't learn until they touch the stove and they get the hamburger. Now they understand that it's hot. That's how they learn. That's something that I probably shouldn't touch. Same thing with the NBA and you know what I'm saying, and the players and the fans. Somebody got to learn. Like, somebody has to pay in a way that it's severe enough that fans get it through their head that this is not okay. And I'm not suggesting that violence is the answer, but like Matt Barnes said, sometimes it is. So
some players gonna have to jump up in the stands.
Somebody's going to have. That's what it's going to take. Listen, I hate to say it, but I feel like that's what it's gonna take. And I hope it doesn't be like as bad as like Malice in the Palace. I don't, wish that on anybody. But I feel like that is what it's gonna have to take. It's gonna take an NBA player saying enough is enough and putting hands on one of these fans. I'm telling you, because like I said, this ban, because they've done this before. Like there's been other fans that have done certain things, said certain things, and they've been banned for 10 years and banned for life, and it's still a reoccurring problem. It's to the point where it's even getting worse now. You know what I'm saying? It's to the point where like it's not just, they're not directing that at the players. They're going after moms and wives and kids. Like it's crossing a line. And so when you get to the point where it's crossing this type of line, action is gonna have to be taken. And like I said, it's gonna take that one player that ain't wrapped too tight that's gonna go off, and then everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, maybe we should have. Yeah, you should have. Because everybody ain't gonna take that. Everybody don't tolerate disrespect the same. It just, I'm honestly, that fan that was at the Dallas game is really lucky that Chris Paul was held back. Because I feel like if he was in a point where he wasn't restrained, it could have got ugly then.
Yeah. And that was he was like a young dude. He looked like he was like,
and he was also with an adult. So it's
right.
Like you as the adult, what are you doing? Like, what
right. Like that's your mom with you, and you over here to push somebody inside. Again, it's just out of hand. I mean, the worst when I think about the players and fighting and the Indiana Pacers, right, where Ron Artest, Steven, they jump like, and I'm like, that to me, like, do we literally need to have another one of those, right? And we really get like, y'all thought somebody wasn't gonna do nothing, and now you're gonna learn today.
Yeah, because for a long time there was fans talking trash, but there weren't fans running up on players or running up on nobody for a good minute, because again, some fans got touched up. And like I said, I think honestly, like I said, I really hope that that's not the case, but I feel like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take for somebody to really put hands on one of these fans in order for them to take. And unfortunately, it's going to be bad for the player, because they're going to treat the player like he's the worst person in the world. But if y'all aren't going to put something in place or make these players feel more protected in these kind of situations, then you're asking for another Malice in the Palace. And it shouldn't be on the fault of the player at that particular point.
this will be interesting to see if something else happens this season before the NBA season is over, or like you said, we don't want violence to be the answer, but you're like, look, once you get hands on you, look, now you're gonna be. But this is it's like the world we live in. Like people feel protected and that they can say whatever on the internet in your face, like because they're I'm at the game, you over here, you ain't gonna come do this, and it's
exactly because I'm so far away. I got the security. I'm up in the stand.
Right,
you can't touch me. You can't do anything to me. I could sue you. Okay.
Them
players are worth millions of dollars. Them players are worth millions of dollars. I highly doubt a little $25,000, $50,000 fine is really gonna be detrimental to like a Chris Paul or like a Russ Brook or
it's gonna be. I would think somebody who's not for sure not a star player, but it's gonna take. Hey, maybe they did something to the star player and another team was like, look, I'm gonna go handle this for you.
Listen, Draymond put it in perspective perfectly when he flipped off the Grizzlies fans, and everybody was like, "Well, you're gonna." He was like, "Yeah, I know I'm gonna get fined, but I make $25 million a year. I'll be okay."
Exactly. He's like, "I'm good. What's 50,000? That's like $50."
Right? Come on, man. Like, and he got listen.
Look, Charles Barkley said, "Hey, give me 5 minutes. Bring this fan on the court."
And listen, and I'm not even mad at that.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Set up like a little boxing match in the back or something, and let them go and say and be like, listen, say what you said when you was in the stands. I want to see you say it to my face what you said in the stands. Say it to me, because now I'm face to face. Now you don't have no excuse. Mm-hmm. You can't hide behind no security guard, no nothing. Just, you know what I'm saying? Especially if they're an adult. Now, if they're a kid, I feel like they should just be scolded a little bit because, kids, you can kind of yell at them and they be all. But if it's an adult, if it's another grown man, cool. Say, come on. Come right here in this ring and let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's see if you say the same things that you said to me, that you were saying while you was over there in the stand.
Let's go. Let's see.
Yes, we shall see. Moving on from that, is Al Horford Giannis's kryptonite? Is he like the Giannis stopper? Is that where we're at right now? Because Al Horford seems to have the answers when it comes to dealing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like he plays him straight up as far as on defense. He's not afraid to go at him on offense. And when Giannis dunked on him and stared at him, Al Horford did one of those.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, if you know how like when you were a kid, like and you were acting out in the store, and your mom couldn't really get to you, and she kind of gave you that look, like it was like one of those. It was like, all right, you want to
play? You act like this?
You want to play? Yeah, you want to play? And I mean, and everybody honestly was like, oh, Al Horford trying to be tough with Giannis. He's not going to do nothing. He's this, and this. And I'll be damned if Al Horford didn't go off after that particular moment and pretty much win the game for the Boston Celtics. And he's done this a few times against Giannis. So does he have the the pedigree or the book or the rules or how to contain Giannis? Like, what do you think?
I'm watching this press conference and he's like, something just switched inside me. Al Horford's like, something just switched inside me. And I love seeing his sister tweeted, right? She's like, oh, I seen that look before. Like, oh, here we go.
He was pissed. Like, she was like, I knew it was over at that point. And I'm like,
right. She was like, oh, here we go. Shout out to Al Horford because I just am like, he's been in the NBA for a hot minute. You see him getting back up there. He bounced around to some teams. Okay, cool. You back at Boston, right? And I mean, the life that I saw out of him when he dunked on Giannis, I never seen Al Horford's a pretty like level-headed player, right? Mm-hmm. You don't see him getting all right. He was feeling like he was 22. He was like, I saw
dunked on Giannis's head and then looked at him and screamed in his face. Like, he shouldn't have got a take for that either. That tech was some BS. He shouldn't have got a take for that. I really hate that these refs call techs for celebrations. That is the stupidest rule. Yeah. But that's another time for another day. But yes, please continue.
But Al Horford, you know what? you showed up, you showed out this last game. Look, we was worrying like, all right, Celtics, y'all about to go down 3-1. And you gave them the extra energy and extra life. 30 points you scored, your career high in the playoffs. You're like, okay, Giannis, I'm ready to battle you, this demon you are. Here's the thing at the end of the day, though. I mean, he has gone up, against him, and he definitely was the difference in this win and took it. If he can continue to play like this and have that confidence and that excitement and energy, he's gonna give him a hard time. But Giannis is Giannis, though. Because I literally watched the game, then I went back and rewatched the play, and I'm like, he's still doing this. He's still done. You know what I mean? It's at the fourth quarter, the Celtics were able to score like 39 points, which took it over, led by Al doing what he did. So it's like, but you can anybody really truly stop Giannis? Can anybody really be his kryptonite? You're gonna definitely give him a run for it, but I'm like, Giannis still got what Giannis got. Giannis still gonna be Giannis. Like, but he giving him a run for his money. And all I can say is like, keep doing it, man. Play hard, because I see you at this age and at this caliber. Like, I'm like, wow, if you can do that, and if you can push yourself through the rest of the series and do that day in and day out, we can go to 7, right? We can get this to 7. But I mean, Giannis, Giannis is Giannis, right? Like, he just don't know if Al can do it for the rest of the series, though. But if he can, man, if he could buckle down and push himself, I mean, I definitely think we're going 7. But Giannis is Giannis, and I'm just still seeing him get his baskets and do what he does still. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I don't know if Al has enough to go to the, like, for the full series if he can keep doing it. But maybe
if it's sustainable.
But I'm just like, I don't know. Like, Giannis still doing Giannis stuff. Like, I need him to really, like, completely, lock him down. I'm like, he still had 34 points, 18 rebounds. Like, he literally was, you know what I mean, too. But I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm pulling for the Celtics. I want to see an upset. You don't know how bad I want to see an upset. I love Jason Tatum. Already has over 1,000 points in the playoffs. Like,
Midwest kid too.
Right, and I love his son. He's so cute. Like, I'm pulling for the Celtics. I really, really am. And I would like never say this because the team that beats my team is always my enemy. And I'm gonna go back to the NBA Finals against the Lakers with the Celtics. And even though those same players ain't on this team, I'm just saying, still look, I'm looking that way.
The petty runs deep.
I'll hold on to that monster that is Giannis, and you know what I mean. Do what you do, bro. Keep doing it. I shout out to you. I salute you. I see what you're doing. If you can keep it up, this series definitely gonna go 7 games.
Yes. I think that it remains to be seen if this Al Horford, the way that he played yesterday, is sustainable. He is an older player. He's older in age, things of that nature. But I mean, like I said, he just seems to, for whatever reason, Giannis seems to bring the best out of him. Every time I've seen them match up in the playoffs or even in the regular season, he really makes it a point to really challenge Giannis and bring the best out of him. So I'm excited that they made it a series and that they knotted it back up. And I mean, I know it's going back to Milwaukee, so that's going to be interesting to see how the Celtics, transition and how they play there. But man, I mean, I was excited to see it. I love the competitive spirit. I love that competitive fire. I love that he didn't back down. I love that he was like, okay, like he pretty much was like, okay, like if you want to do this, we could go mano a mano. I love that he just anchored, that team and put everybody on his back and was like, look, we gonna do this. We're gonna send a message. We're gonna beat this team, and we're gonna let them know that we can work. We're competitive too, and we ain't playing. Because I think that I have a little bit. I don't have a bone to pick with Giannis per se. I have a bone to pick with the kind of cloud of hype that's around him. Because I feel like people are trying to christen him as the best player in the league a bit too early. Now I know what people are saying. Like, well, he won the championship last year, which he did, and it was an incredibly impressive run, even with all the injuries and things of that nature. And because everybody likes to, it doesn't count because all these people. I don't buy into that. Like,
right.
Because you have to play you have to play against who they present out on the court. So that's not his fault that certain players got injured. That's not his fault that KD stepped in the line when he shot that 3. That's not his fault. Like he can't control that. So I don't really get into that side of things. But at the end of the day, like, you know, he won his first finals. He played it incredibly out of his mind. But it wasn't impressive enough to me to be like he's the best player in the league now. Like I still feel like there's still holes in his game. There's still things that he's missing. There's still moments where he comes up small, even as tall as he is. And it's like, in order for me to give you the best player in the league, there has to be a consistency there. And there's not always a consistency with Giannis. Like the years that people were calling LeBron the best player in the league, it was throughout. Like there was really no drop off. It was like throughout the entire year, like he was giving you those moments and those performances in those games. And like Giannis is still struggling with the 36-year-old Al Horford. I can't. I hate to be one of those people.
Why you letting him give you the business, Giannis?
I can't give you that if that's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like even when people were calling KD the best player in the league, of course, me being a Brown fan, I didn't agree with it, but I wasn't mad at it either because look, it's freaking KD. Like look at KD. Like KD is the only person that really can stop KD is KD and Jason Tatum. But I mean that's. There was a level of consistency there that we saw from in those years where KD was the best player.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't agree. But I wasn't mad at it either, and I can understand why people would say that. And like I said, with Giannis, I just haven't seen that enough. Like it's just not enough. Like Giannis is an incredible talent. Like, and he's definitely on his way to being one of the best players, but. Now that you know he's got some competition and shoot, everybody on Boston is healthy. Can you do it now? Like can you do it again? Can you repeat? Can you be that guy that we saw last year? Because I always say it's different when you are not the one, when you are the hunted instead of the hunter. That's when we really get to see what kind of player that you are. Because it's different when nobody sees it coming. It's different when you're on the rise because then. People can't game plan for you. Now, Giannis, we've seen pretty much every trick in your bag at this particular point. So now you're being game planned for. Now you're being schemed for. Now there's certain, you know, defenses and schemes and things that are being put in position to specifically stop you. And you don't have your second best player in Jrue Holiday. So can you really put a team on your back and be the best player that everybody is assuming that you are?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I pose that question because I've seen a pattern of Al Horford playing against Giannis and Al Horford getting the best of Giannis.
Okay.
So I mean, we'll see. Do they play tonight? They play tonight, right?
Yeah. Or no? They just played.
No, Miami plays tonight. Miami. So we'll see tomorrow night. Let me see. When do they play? Let me just double check, make sure I got the right day.
They just played yesterday. So they just played yesterday. They're not playing again.
Okay, so they'll play Wednesday. They play Wednesday. Yeah. They play tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow if what's gonna happen because they are back in Milwaukee. So we'll see. What are your so typically before we back
tomorrow they're back in they're in Boston. They're going back to Boston tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Are they?
Yeah, because they were in Milwaukee. So to be honest, I mean, I'm very shocked. Like I thought Bucks were going to go up 3-1. So you know what I mean? I all these series, the ones that we thought teams were really going to run away with it have really been like, okay, no, we here to play.
Yeah. So let's do this really quick. Predictions for tonight. Who wins tonight? Out of Miami and Philly, and then out of the Suns and the Mavericks. Who wins tonight?
I'm going to go Miami. I feel like Jimmy Buckets is going to lead the team. He is going to lead the team to victory. He's going to put that on. And then I got to go Suns. I'm going with the home teams. I just have to. I'm going for Chris Paul. You know, right. He's running out of time to chase this ring, and you got to put these Mavericks away. You need to go home, win this game, and then go back to Dallas and beat them there in this series because, like you said before, they're going to need all they have to go against Golden State.
Okay, and then tomorrow, who wins? Memphis and Warriors, as well as Milwaukee and the Celtics.
Is Ja gonna be back tomorrow? Like, I feel like
they say I don't know. I feel like they said that it's possible he may be done for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, and they might be like, we're down 3-1. I was so impressed with what they did. I mean, literally, it was free throws at the end. It's literally like you didn't make the shots and it was just free throws instead of just making the free throws. And I'm like, oh, I could have won that without Ja, and it would have been a series. I think Warriors are gonna close it out. If Ja plays, I think they could get a win. But and then look at what they did without him. But I think Warriors just close it out. But I'm rooting for Celtics though. Jason Tatum. I think the home team with the Celtics though, Celtics Bucks. I think Jason Tatum, and who knows? Let's see. Al Horford. Can you again put Giannis? You know, can you take him out? Can you battle him all the way through? And I think we can see a Celtics win. I want to see a Celtics win. So Celtics tomorrow. Warriors tomorrow as well. My prediction.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I don't think I have any. I don't think I would have anything opposing to that, honestly and truly, because I feel the exact same way personally. I think Miami gets it done tonight. I think that the Suns get it done tonight, and then the Warriors are. If Grizzlies don't have jobs, then the Warriors will close it out tomorrow, and then I think I'm gonna take the Celtics actually tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Celtics tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
Let's go, Celtics. We back at home. Let's do it.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Sports Senseis. I am your girl Sensei, of course, and my good sis Jay Nicole. Thank you so much for joining me. Per usual, next week we will be all three be back. Ruth the Truth will be here. I will be here. Jay Nicole will be here also and as well. And we're gonna do this thing like we always do this thing. Make sure y'all have a great rest of y'all night, man, and continue to support the Sports Senseis because we only going up, so get us right now before we get famous. Because once we get famous, you might not be able to reach us no more. No, just kidding. But y'all have a great rest of y'all night. We out.
Bye.
Bye.